Batman Incorporated, number 12. It is the finale. It is something that they kind of like sneakily, backdoor ended it. We weren't really sure.
They just didn't say anything.
Yeah, they didn't solicit another issue. And I had been saying, even to Eric on the podcast and off leading up to it, that I didn't think it was going to last much longer. And then at one point did say to him, this Joker Incorporated story is going way too long. I think that this is going to be the end. And I thought that at one point, like, you end up having this Joker Incorporated story. If it wouldn't have been canceled, it probably would have been over like 2 issues ago. But since you're not going to start, right, you're not going to start a new arc just to end. Though I think that maybe they could have been better played. End the Joker Incorporated at 11 and just give some sort of send-off for this book for people who have been reading it like us. I don't know that me and you were the only ones reading it. I don't even know if Eric's going to finish it. I actually messaged him. He didn't read it yet. And that's the problem is, and I had even talked to some people, then I'm doing some other shows and things like that, and they're, oh, what do you want to talk about? What did you read this week? And I'm like, well, I read Batman Incorporated number 12. It's a finale. You would think people would want to talk a finale. Nobody wants to talk about it. They're like, nobody's reading that book. Well, it's canceled because nobody's reading it, but me and you both enjoyed it. Yeah, Eric was enjoying it. I think that it was one of those things that it had more potential than it ever, gave us. It never really lived up to its potential. I thought that the first arc was a little bit overdrawn. I wanted them to focus more on the team. You liked it more than I did. We were talking beforehand.
I did like that first arc a lot. I didn't love it, but I did enjoy it. I liked seeing what Brisson was doing, trying to expand upon what Zdarsky did with Batman the Knight. And I really liked the Phantom One character being created. I really liked that. I liked all that expansion upon Ghostmaker and his mythology. It wasn't a great Batman Inc. book, but I liked it as a Ghostmaker book. And
it should have just been, but it wouldn't have sold if it was just Ghostmaker Clown Hunter, right? I know, but hindsight. Anyway. Maybe they should have had Batman's enemy, Ghostmaker. They just want Batman on the cover, and what's that?
It should have just been a Ghostmaker miniseries, like a 6-issue mini. Just have Ghostmaker training Clown Hunter around the world, and we find out more about Ghostmaker's past with Phantom One. And it could have just been that. It contained story where Ghostmaker's training a new sidekick. It pisses off Phantom One, and he comes in, and that's what the 6-issue mini's about.
That'd be fine. And it kind of, if you want to go with it, you can look at it as kind of like 2 6-issue minis. You can go in, out, whatever. But nobody's really reading it. That is the big problem. Now, overall, then, this is the problem. And some people have already actually messaged me today where they had read, there are a couple people reading it, but the idea that, okay, Ghostmaker, by the end of this, they reset him as I'm going to kill. I'm against Batman, blah, 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 and goes off. And this one guy said, oh man, I can't wait. They'll have Ghostmaker versus Batman. That might be the case, but if they do, that just goes back to the beginning when he showed up in Tynan's deal. So it'll feel like been there, done that. It has to be something different than that, but also maybe you're going to have to wait some time. So at the end of this, we'll talk about it by the end. The idea that, is this series, was it a waste? But on top of that, like you said, you liked the first arc because it expanded on what Zdarsky did. Does this end up making all of that a waste? Like, did you end up spending too much time on a character that I like, you like, Eric likes? There are some fans, but he has an action figure, Ghostmaker. But in this all-around deal, was it worth it? Was it worth it by this point where he's not going to be able to sell a solo book? You see this. Now, like you said, maybe if you really played it out as Ghostmaker, maybe. I think that what happens a lot of times, and really what happens with Tynan, he ended up throwing, Miracle Molly we were talking about before, but Punchline, Ghostmaker, Clown Hunter, all these characters, or such hits as The First Victim back in the day. But they won it because they ended up, Tynan becomes huge. He leaves, and they wanted to grab onto these characters and try to, get the magic with other people. It doesn't seem to be there, but I never thought that it was quite there anyway. And this is my big problem. And I almost forgot what I was going to say. The idea where when Tynan left, everything got elevated. Oh my God, we need a Punchline book. Oh my God, we need Ghostmaker. And these are characters that should have been able to breathe, get some breathing room, Have them in a Urban Legends or a Brave and the Bold. Like, oh my God, you need to get to the point where people enjoy the characters. They want more of them. Not the idea of, oh, I used to like that character, but man, you're really trying to shove it down my throat. That never works. But in this day and age, a lot of these characters, they do try to elevate immediately. I mean, look what happened with Naomi. That's the perfect example. The biggest character, they said. At one point, Bendis claimed that it was the most important character. And this is straight up quote, the most important character in the DC universe. They tried to shove that character too quickly down people's throats, and now she is gone. You know, and maybe 5 years from now, she may pop up somewhere, and you're like, oh man, I think I remember liking that. But the whole play of it, though, you kind of burned your bridges. You kind of, blew your load, I hate to say, with it, and you end up having a character that people now look at as a failure, or at least like not so great. And it's a shame, because these characters could be pretty cool. I thought that Ghostmaker is kind of a cool play. Eric originally said it was like a new Wrath, which would be kind of neat. But what do you do with them now? But we'll see, because we'll get into this book now that I've yelled and screamed about that. It is Batman Incorporated, number 12, written by Ed Brisson, pencils and inks by John Timms, colors by Rex Locust, letters by Clayton Coles, and the editor, Ben Abernathy. There we go. The editor.
This is for you,
it's a new, brave new world now with these editors. I'm telling you, if and when Eric comes back, he's going to shoot that right out. We're not going to be doing that. He doesn't
There's
care.
A lot of changes that Eric's not going to be fond of.
Yeah, he's not going to be a fan of. And that's the whole play is there's the danger of him like, I don't even need to come back because that's no podcast I remember.
He's just going to be like, 10 hours, editors included. What the hell is this?
It's like, I have to read editors? Get out of town. But yeah, I actually told him the 6-hour podcast and he giggled. We used to do the 10 to 12 hours, so it's no crazy thing yet. But who knows? Next week, a lot of books. But
I would say 11 books next week.
There's tons, so we may get to that deal. So you end up plus that and a manga. But you end up where we start in Melbourne, it is. And you end up having this big destruction going, and the idea, oh my God, what's going on with the team? We know this is the last issue, and what we end up having in this issue is just let's give the lay of the land. It kind of give you like, hey, this character's still alive, that character's dead, but this guy quit, and so I know. And this starts out, the thing that gets me upset, Dark Ranger, he's alive. He is in a crater next to just a pile of nothingness. Yeah, it's pretty much a skeleton on fire. And he's like, help. And they're like, oh my God, Jack Ranger, get him an ambulance. I'm like, no, you better get him a hearse because he's not going to survive even getting out of that crater, but he's alive. Oh my Dark Ranger.
Just start filling in the hole now.
Yeah. It really, just grab a shovel, boys. So you end up where, okay, they wanted Dark Ranger to continue. Now, when I say that, I will reveal that it didn't come to be my biggest thing that I wanted Wingman to be Bruce Wayne. And it would have been cool if it would have set up where you would have had those. You don't really need Ghostmaker to actually kill somebody. You just have to have them try to. And it would have been cool. Wingman stops, get the hell out of here. I'm Bruce Wayne, Batman, boom, boom, boom. But you don't get that. They actually mention that he is dead. He's a casualty of this book.
They're like 30 people died and Wingman. And it's just like, really? You're just going to tack that on?
And I will tell you right now that when Eric does eventually read it, I know he's going to get a hold of me. And the thing that he would have said during this review and would have been really, he'd be pissed off about is the idea we really never got who that Wingman was. It was kind of a shady area. The idea, it shouldn't have been Willis Todd. Jason Todd's dead because that kind of got shifted around. But if it was, that'd be big. Like, there could have been a big deal with the death of Wingman. You realize now they didn't tell you because he was just going to die at this point, and now it could be anybody. And Wingman is a character that's more of a mantle, not just one guy. So if they have a Batman Incorporated 2 years from now, there could be another Wingman. There's no reason that there wouldn't be. And maybe they'll be like, yeah, that last Wingman, R.I.P., never to reveal who it was. But you end up with all of that. Then we just go back to the Great Plains, South Dakota, where we end up having Raven Red, Giro, and Clown Hunter going against Dusty Bronco. And we ended that last issue where you had Dusty Bronco was about to get choked to death by Raven Red. And again, this is where, okay, what's going to happen? Do we want to have Raven Red continue? Will he be able to? Will there? But you don't want him to kill anybody. So you end up having him just decide at the last second. And again, everything in this, don't you agree, is like cliched type deal. Your dad wouldn't want that. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I was right. I rolled my eyes where it's like, hey, your father wouldn't want this. And it's just like, this man has talked up his game nonstop for the past 5 issues about, I'm going to kill Dusty Bronco. And all it takes is just saying, don't, your father don't want this. And it's like, that's it?
That is a good phrase. If I did a written review, I think that my tagline would be, that's it. Because every time you end up having Dark Ranger. Hey, he's alive. Get him an ambulance. Like, that's it? You're just going to say that? Then you end up getting Dusty Bronco. Hey, your dad won't want this. Okay, I won't kill him. That's it? So when
how do we stop
you end up having that, it's like
EMP.
Lethal Weapon. Yeah, it's like Lethal Weapon. Yeah, Lethal Weapon now, because Dusty Bronco gets up, grabs a gun, and he's going to end up shooting Raven Red. And that's where Clown Hunter comes and hits him in the back of the head with his bat. But then he ends up, and here's the big thing, too. This book seemed like it was supposed to elevate Ghostmaker especially, but also Clown Hunter. That was his sidekick. It did nothing. Nothing at all, right? And so when he ends up hitting him, it's like one of his biggest lines of the whole thing. And he sounds like he's, simple Clown Hunter. He's like, don't worry, he not dead. I used the non-stabby side of Bat. I'm like, get out of town.
I had really wanted him to actually hit him with the batarang and be like, oh no, I am Ghostmaker's sidekick now. Like, I do believe
why
in
not?
This. He's killed so many people before, and it's a clown. He's Clown Hunter.
He's already killed a bunch of clowns.
It's just like, sorry, I couldn't help myself. I'm a Clown Hunter.
Or he's just like, hey, why did you do that? Well, Ghostmaker's right. We can't do this bull crap. And even when you do that, like, why are we trying to rehabilitate Clown Hunter? At this point, I think that you can kind of say we probably won't see him much again.
No,
but even so, he still clobbers, Dusty Bronco with a bat it's a Negan bat, even without that, deal of the batarang.
It's still a bat, and they're in the middle of nowhere.
He still crushes him with that, so he's still being very violent. But hey, and that feels like it's supposed to be almost like a sitcom moment.
Yeah, Dusty Bronco is going to be as simple as Clown Hunter now. Yeah, he's just.
The end of this, I'm waiting for the canned laugh of the, hey, don't worry, it's not the stabby side.
When he said that, I felt the canned laughter, and I was like, oh god,
what are you doing? So then we go, and again, this is let's tie all this stuff up. So the big play here is that Joker has these Joker Incorporated characters that have that bomb. It's the bomb in their body. If they do anything, if the Batman Incorporated characters do anything, grab, they try to kill, whatever, you have to kill them to get them.
That's the only way to disarm the bombs. You got to kill them. You can't take them anywhere. You can't try and defuse it. You can't. Basically, these bombs are foolproof, but then we stop them with an EMP, and it's like
because you end up having this whole play with Night Runner driving through Paris. He ends up having Charles de Gaulle in the back of this armored car.
He doesn't explode, though.
Yeah, he's yelling, how do I, get this bomb out? And you end up having Knight say, well, keep him right where he was. You can't take him anywhere. Oh, whoops, I already did.
Oops.
But the bomb didn't go off. And again, this almost feels like at one point it was a proximity thing. Now it feels like if Joker might not see it yet because he's their press. It's bullshit, is what it is.
It turns out Joker's playing on his Nintendo DS or something.
Yeah, he's not paying attention. So while that's going on, you end up having Grey Wolf, who's desperately looking at that piece of one of the EMP bombs, the one...
Yeah, that was destroyed or whatever.
Yeah, the one that they ended up where it was already ripped out of Die Laughing. That's the one they grabbed when he kind of disappeared and threw out, hey, he got it out, what happened? So he said, but there's nothing there. We already know that. He's there with like a scalpel and a tweezers. I don't know what he's doing.
Literally last issue, they're like, there's not enough for us to do it. And it's like, we just got to try again. They tried again this issue. And once again, they're like, well, we got shit.
Yeah. It really ends up being the classic of I've tried nothing and I'm all out of ideas. So then you just have Knight who's driving and says, wait a second, let me look, kind of comes in. Look, okay, I think that what this is there's not a real good jacketing around this, and we can take it out with an EMP.
It's like they try to do that whole, like, what's it called? Occam's solution or Occam's razor?
Yeah, the Occam's razor. That's the simplest
is the best
solution. But it's not a great deal. It's just there because they have to do it.
Remember when Tynan created Ghostmaker, he had like the whole GhostNet stuff and all that electronics? You wouldn't think that his suit could just do an EMP?
You would think.
And even then, it doesn't do it anyway, because remember, every time he gets recorded, the security cameras go out. That's got to be something like that, like an EMP. You would think just by being near them, the bomb wouldn't go off.
Unfortunately, he's not in Melbourne. So you end up where that's the big play. Hey, everybody, all you need is an EMP shot, and then that will disable the bombs. Now, again, I kept thinking of the idea when Joker dies, because, again, you want to kill these Jokers. That's what Joker wants you to do. Then maybe he flips the switch off, but that doesn't really go in with that idea of how it ends up being disarmed if you kill one of the Joker Inc. guys.
You could have done the thing like from Arkham Origins. Have you ever played Arkham Origins?
No, I have not.
Okay. In that, the only way to defeat the Joker is to fight Bane, and Bane has a heartbeat monitor set to his heart, and if Bane dies, I think it was like the electric chair would get disarmed that was holding Captain Gordon hostage. But if Batman refused to kill him, once his heart rate got above a certain beat per minute or whatever, it would fry Commissioner Gordon. So what Batman does is he killed Bane. Joker
it was basically Forever Evil with Nightwing.
Yeah.
I realized that's exactly what it would be.
That's much simpler.
How do you end up maybe getting somebody's heart to stop for a second? You could do that maybe with an EMP.
You
could do it with an EMP. I'm telling you, you end up shocking somebody like that. It might end up having an irregular heartbeat that ends up, causing it to go. It just ends up ridiculous.
They could just electrocute the hell out of them like they frickin' did with Batman of Japan.
Ghostmaker doesn't even care. Like, he doesn't really care about any of this. He is just trying to kill Alpaca.
Yeah, he's just
That's all he's doing. So he's not there on any comms saying, hey, we got to do this, we got to do that, we got to go there. He is going old-fashioned that the only way that he can get done this one deal would be to kill Alpaca, because Alpaca has guys throwing people off of roofs. But you end up where Knight yells to everybody, hey, get EMPs. And then we just get like Jiro. He's going to go and grab stuff out of his car and make an EMP.
Yeah. He electrocutes the hell out of Dusty Bronco.
How long does that take? And even then, when they're doing that, you end up where, as that's going on back in Paris, you end up having Night Runner who ends up just taking that truck right into the drink. He goes right into the river. And it blows up, so you end up
and
Charles
he talks
de Gaulle.
Underwater.
Yeah, R.I.P. He's talking underwater. He's doing all this nonsense. He says R.I.P.
to the fish. That's the joke. That more canned humor. And I was just
why do you have these jokes? So then the big play should be, one of the big plays was Raven Red and Dusty Bronco, because he was doing that for his dad. But the other, in this, if you were a big Knight and Grey Wolf fan, you're getting shit. You're getting shit on shit here, because all they're doing is looking at that. Oh my God, it doesn't have a steel jacket. EMP this stuff, but they're just sitting around. Then we go off, though. The big play is in the Kangbashi district, where you do have Bei Shi, the Batman of China, fighting his sister Alpaca, his Joker, but you also have El Gaucho and Clown or Ghostmaker. The idea of this, too, is that's such an overpowered team anyway. It's so ridiculous. Like, El Gaucho should have been off just doing one of these things while you end up having, Ghostmaker doing something in Beijing. But the whole play here is, I'm going to kill your sister. No, you're not. Yes, I am. No, you're not. And so when they end up getting the word of, hey, you need an EMP, while shit is going down, right before this moment, you end up having Ghostmaker completely lose it, decide that he's not going to stand for any of this. Instead of killing Beijing's sister Alpaca, seems to kill the guys that are throwing people off the building.
He killed them. You cannot convince me otherwise. They get 3 knives in the foreheads.
The physics of it and the progression doesn't make any sense. He ends up tackling Alpaca.
Caught one and threw the knives at the same time, and it's just like I don't understand.
3 knives, and somehow I thought that these guys might have been the guys on top of the roof, but you're still it doesn't make sense.
It is them. It's supposed to be them.
You end up where all this is going down. So Ghostmaker then tackles Alpaca and is like, you're going to die. I don't care about your brother. And that's where they get the word. Hey, everybody, we need to do EMPs. At this moment, El Gaucho and Beiji just kind of stop and say, oh, man, hey, Beiji, could you make an EMP in my sleep? Okay, well, can you make that now? Yeah, but you got to make sure that my sister's safe. Like, sister should be dead by then.
Yeah, Ghostmaker's just sitting over there waiting, like, I'm waiting. And it's like, why? You're so intent on killing her.
It's so ridiculous. So then El Gaucho gets a call from the Joker to say, oh, El Gaucho, you guys messed up. You broke the rules. I'm pressing this button. Everybody's going to die. And he presses the button, and that's where the bomb goes off in Paris. Charles de Gaulle dies, but
so
Alpaca doesn't. Like, there's a little bit of a delay. All of these guys should be dead, but at the last second, Ghostmaker, and the progression, and I do like John Tim's art, but the progression and how the story, it's too quick where when you go and then see Alpaca with Ghostmaker on top with the knife, like you could, or the sword, and you could sit there, oh my God, he killed, but you don't even get a chance to even get it. He slices then into Alpaca and then pulls out with his blade the bomb. It should have went off by now. We saw 2 pages before the button was pressed. Alpaca's not dead, and the bomb's there. Bullshit. This thing should have blown up and killed all of them. It should have brought that building down. Bullshit. And then that's the big play of, I'm not going to kill her, but she deserves to die. Then out of nowhere, he's like, oh yeah, by the way, we got to go get Sky Spider. That me and you both forgot. Yeah. It's such a weird play here that she was forgotten by everybody. You have an editor's note that tells you where she was last in here because nobody would know. Everybody forgot about Sky Spider. And like, oh, you're a piece of shit there, Ghostmaker. I believe I am. And then he just yells everybody to HQ. And now it's just him saying, hey, get this, guys. Batman's a prick. I tried to do it. He actually says, and I think that the best part of this is Ghostmaker actually admits, listen, I don't believe in any of this bullshit that Batman said.
I tried it his way, but now
I like that he said
it
was a challenge. He said, I get it. I'm telling you, Ghostmaker is a guy who's always bored and wants these challenges, so it makes sense that and they should have reacted more about that. If you had more space, because he could have said, listen, I tried to do Batman's thing. I thought it'd be a challenge to maybe play. And they should have said, you son of a bitch. This was a game for you. Raven Red's dad almost died. Wingman did die. You have Beishi's sister. Who knows how, she's a killer, but still. But he did it because it seemed like a hoot. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I didn't think I'd be able to do it, but I wanted to give myself a little challenge and try it out. I'm like, go to hell, buddy. But he ends up saying, Batman's bullshit. Batman Inc.'s a failure. I'm not going to do this. The idea of not killing is not my way. Sayonara, suckers. And then just because you're kind of want to leave something to go forward, he says, I'm not going to fund you, but you know this $1 trillion base, pretty cool, right? You can have it. Here you go.
Yeah, you can have it. And it's just like,
bullshit. Yeah, it's just bullshit. And even in that, like, then you end up having this whole, hey, are you going to be in the team? Are you going to stay? I don't know. I think I'm going to go. I might stay. And then you have like Grey Wolf. Hey, I'm going to stay. And it has that little connection with Knight saying, this seems like family. I love the idea that he says at any point, because she says, you probably want to go back to your people. And he's like, well, the thing is that we could just fly back. I'm like, who's paying for everything from this point on?
Yeah.
Because not one person here has any bit of money. I swear to God, this team has 2 nickels.
The Knight's going to fund them. How much money does she have?
Who knows? And the idea that Grey Wolf's like, we'll just take the jet here and there. I'm like, I don't know about that. I don't know that you're going to have the money. Either. Like right now, they should be really figuring out who's even going to pay for the electricity in this place. But they're like, hey, whatever. And yeah, it's a nice deal when you do have Knights. Like, I'm glad to hear it. I'm like, all right, whatever. Yeah. And they're happy that you end up having, Ghostmaker leaving. Raven Red, who could have been the breakout character.
He was my favorite character from the series.
Yeah, he was my favorite. But even so, what did you get from him? Oh,
nothing.
Man of Bats, my dad got hurt. You didn't get to give anybody real character work. And so Grey Wolf actually had some, but even so. So at the end, you have Clown, like, hey, Clown Hunter. But the idea, too, if you go around, I love the idea. Ghostmaker leaves, right? He's like, I'm out of here. I swear to God, Clown Hunter should have ran to him and said, well, can I come with you? And at least then have Ghostmaker say, I don't need you. Like, you're a piece of crap. Like, you're nothing. And really get him kind of inspired, upset, whatever, to go off. Because once you end up having Ghostmaker leave, you look at that table. You look at them. I mean, legitimately, most of them are different versions of Batman. And then you have a kid with a bat.
Yeah, Clown Hunter.
He doesn't fit. If he ended up, I'm telling you, the minute that he says, hey, I don't think I'm going to stay, they're like, thank God we were, drawing straws to kick you out. You don't belong here. And then he goes back to Bloodhaven. But
when he said in Bloodhaven, he's like, I thought they needed me, but they don't. And it's like, yeah, nobody ever needed you. The only time you were useful in this entire series was during the Professor Pig story. And that was just because you talked to Bloodhaven kids, something that anybody else could have done.
Best thing he brought this series was just to have Phantom 1 show up and get upset. I mean, it was more a prop than actually being a character, but that was a cool little deal. Even then, you could have had that little bit of a last bit of character work of like, hey, I thought I was going to, hey, Ghostmaker, I thought you were going to train me, to be your sidekick or whatever. And you could have had Ghostmaker in that last bit, because remember, as we were going, Ghostmaker started to seem like he was kind of showing that he does care a little. He might not be such a socio or psychopath as we thought, that he could actually at the end reveal, listen, this life isn't for you. I'm going to go do my own thing. I have to be alone. I'm going to be a target now. Batman's going to be after me. And I would like to have trained you. But after the stuff that happened with Phantom 1, I realized that that's just putting somebody in a death sentence, and you should go and be a teenager. Go and have fun and be yourself.
I honestly would have liked to see him go off with Ghostmaker. Like Ghostmaker be like, well, fine, at least one of you. That's why I wanted Clown. Yeah, I wanted Clown Hunter to have stabbed Dusty Bronco.
Yeah,
and then Ghostmaker be like, you're all bullshit. But you know what? Clown Hunter.
We had one guy.
He followed orders. He's a good fucking soldier. He's coming with me.
You didn't have to kill Dusty Bronco. He could have and they could have said, oh my God, and they just say, oh, he's in a coma. He might survive, whatever. But you end up where, again, it's like Ed Brisson gets a hold of the higher ups. Hey, what should I do with this, Clown Hunter? And they're like, who? He's like, all right, there we go. Because he ends up deciding, hey, I'm going to go back, and you have those kids and the cheap pizza in Bloodhaven. That's pretty much the deal. I promise you,
Tom Taylor will never bring Clown Hunter up in Bloodhaven Park. Nobody
What's
will.
That? I'm telling you, here would be the best. Would you laugh if you ended up where 3 issues from now, Heartless kills him?
You know what?
Even
At least
better.
We see Heartless again.
It would be hilarious. How about this? You end up where, because Nightwing, he's doing shit, all of a sudden Clown Hunter kills Heartless. He's the big hero of Bloodhaven.
Yeah,
that'd be kind of fun.
That'd be great. That would be great.
What I do like, though, and I did say to Eric a bunch of times with that, the idea that Nightwing is, oh my God, you really changed Bloodhaven. You really helped. Didn't really do that much. He made but you do get cheap pizza. And when you're out on your own, and maybe outdoors, he might be, homeless here. At least he's got some, cheap pizza, though. I'm telling you right now, I look at that pizza. And the idea, seriously, I know that some people don't like pepperoni, or some people don't get half pepperoni. Just get a whole pepperoni. If somebody doesn't like it, they can pick the pepperoni off. I mean, seriously, he's getting that from
pizza did not look appealing to me when I looked at it, because it looked a little green. I was like, why is this pizza a little bit green? Like, is there supposed to be like oregano on it? Like, what the hell is that?
And I say this, and I have this, kind of a pet peeve about this half pepperoni, because a couple times I've seen this go. And usually they're going to charge you for a pepperoni pizza, and you're only getting half pepperoni. If you end up doing that, I think that what they should do is you tell them and say, listen, I have a lot of people who don't like pepperoni. Double the pepperoni on the one side, and then have the other side plain. At least give me the amount of pepperoni I'm paying for, you jerks. And then it looks like he's just got drinks, and he's like, hey, you goth emo kids, you want to eat? And then they just start eating pizza. And the big play is, I thought you had friends that needed your help. I don't know. I don't think they need my
Maybe they
help.
will one day.
Yeah, and then he says, I decided to come back here just to be me. The problem is at this point, for the amount of issues we've had with Clown Hunter since, Tynan introduced him, who even knows what that means? Because we don't really know the character.
One issue during, what was it, Fear State? Wasn't it like an annual he had?
Joker War, I believe it was, because the idea, it was Joker War.
Yeah, well, it's just like when he went home, he didn't really do anything. I mean, did he he said Wonder Woman was his favorite superhero.
Yeah.
Like, I remember that, but,
not much. He likes that cheap
the real him is murdering clowns like he should have done with Dusty Bronco. That should have been the real him.
We just saw last week in the Birds of Prey where there's still just random, jokers going around just hitting people and stuff like that. So you'll have some people to go. But even so, in this, maybe you could have even had him say, to Ghostmaker. Ghostmaker says, listen, come with me. Let's finish this shit up. Let's wrap this shit up. Because you do still have, Die Laughing out there. But that's how we're going to end with Joker Inc. They end up where, okay, are we going to continue the team? I don't know. But yes, we are, because Die Laughing is the one thing that Knight and Grey Wolf, they couldn't figure out, couldn't get. Why is this guy so out in the open, too? He actually escaped Joker and Batman Incorporated to just then go to Cardiff, Wales. I know not many people in Wales, right? But he's there out in the open, dressed fully out, and he ends up robbing a bank and says, hey, you guys saw my face. Everybody's going to see it. And he's like, I'm going to take it down. And you end up with what is the final, joke? But not joke. It's like a continuous line where he ends up saying, no good deed. And then you end up having his gun get grabbed out of him. He goes, what? And then you just have El Gaucho.
No good deed goes or no bad. What was it?
No good deed goes unpunished. And it's
that's it.
That's not funny. It's not even good. And then you end up where Knight says, I told you we'd be coming back for you. Die Laughing.
Why is Die Laughing so important?
It's just the one that they were supposed to get.
But you could have had them do anything else.
I love the idea here. Just me and you are sitting at the table. I am the Joker of Quakertown. That's me, right? You're the Joker of, I'll give you the full play. You're the Joker of the Carolinas. You got it all there. So we're here and we're at the table and they say, okay, Ghostmaker's gone. It's a shame. He ended up being a piece of shit, but who would have seen that coming? We have his stuff. What should we do? They end up saying, well, what we need to do is get Die Laughing. I'm like, what about the Joker? the guy who led all this, the guy who was there tormenting us this whole time.
Y'all didn't even give him a second thought. He's the one who detonated the bombs and caused all this shit, and you're like, let's go after Die Laughing.
And I'd sit there, I'm like, I hate that guy's name, though I did like it by the end. But the idea, though, you have the whole entire team swooping down on the Die Laughing. Remember that the Joker's whole play in this was to get all of these guys not to be Batman Incorporated. The way he was going to do it is they would all have to kill, so Batman wouldn't allow it. At the end, you don't even go with that. You have the Batman Incorporated still there. They go get Die Laughing, and Joker just, I guess, goes off to that Matthew Rosenberg piece of shit book.
Yeah, but it does not fit with continuity right now at all.
No, it never should have been. You have a Batman Incorporated that doesn't have Batman. You should have never had the Joker. You should have had what would have been maybe Alpaca, because of the connection with Beijing, getting a group of Joker Inc. together. You never should have went as big as having the Joker himself in it. Never made sense. Didn't feel right.
It could have been a third imposter. You should have just had somebody else being like, oh, hey, I heard there was 2 Jokers in America. Why couldn't there be a third?
I'm telling you what I would have wanted, because again, where Ghostmaker's trying to impress Batman with this deal, I would have liked to have had, even a new character. But what they're doing is, we'll make Joker Incorporated. We'll take that. We're trying to impress the real Joker, and maybe he'll let us in. But you never had that. It was just a Joker and just nonsense. And so, at the end, instead of saying, let's go get the Joker, we'll get that. Again, though, if we're there taking a vote on, hey, Zach, let's tell him what we said. Hey, we want to go get the real Joker. they're like, yeah, I don't think we're going to live that. I think Die Laughing might be a way to start. Let's go get Die Laughing. I'm like, all right.
It could have been a cool reveal where it could have been like, what if the Joker, like the one that was doing this whole Joker Incorporated, was actually Die Laughing posing as the real Joker, and that's why we never saw him with Joker Incorporated. Like,
and that's why he ended up being able to take the bomb out, because it never was really there.
He never had it.
The big guys, and so all of it was, that's it, because you end up, EMPs solve something that was going on for like 7 issues. You end up having this play of just people just, surviving, not dying, leaving, and that's what we're left with, right?
Just random shit happens, and it randomly gets tied up, and it's just like, why?
Yeah, so what would you give it?
I'm giving it a 5, and I mean, I don't want to say fuck you 5.
Fuck you!
But
I am.
But okay.
I'm a fuck you 5. And not that right. I like the art a lot, except some of the progressions with Ghostmaker, but the idea that I just read 12 issues, and it ends in a way that I am mad that I read any of them. Like, that's not how to end a series.
You are all weirdos.
Weird science is the revolution. Weird science is the revolution.